All right, I'd like to welcome back on Newsday's NFL's pick columnist, Joe Manniello. Joe, how you doing?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It was a 2-3 week for both of us this past week in week 13. So I am 31, 37 and 1, and you are 34, 34 and 1 heading into week 14.
Yeah, we both lost on the Jets and Giants, so hopefully we'll get it right this week.
Absolutely. So let's start with the locals. The Giants are playing the Cardinals at 1 o'clock on Sunday. The Cardinals are favored by 2.5 points. Who do you like in this game?
Yeah, I'm surprised by the line. I guess it's because they don't know if Daniel Jones is playing or not, but I think the wrong team is favored here. I was totally wrong about the Giants last week. I mean, that was one of the best wins of the season. And the defense is playing lights out right now. And the Cardinals, as great as the Giants have won 4 in a row, Cardinals have lost 3 in a row. Kyler Murray, to me, isn't 100% since he fell on his shoulder against Seattle on Thursday night. He's not running the ball anymore. To me, they're just a team that's reeling. And the Giants, I don't think this will be a blowout. I can see this being a really close game in the fourth quarter. People are probably going to get, too carried away thinking the Giants are going to start blowing teams out. That's not the kind of team they are. They're going to win with defense. I think this is a low-scoring game, like a 2017 kind of game. But I like what Joe Judge is doing. Leonard Williams, he's playing great, making a lot of people eat crow over the Dave Gettleman trade. And the Giants' defense just looks great. I mean, I don't get why it's 2.5. I mean, it has to be because of McCoy. Because if Jones plays, I think it'll be either a pick'em or Giants -1 or something. So I think you're getting good value right now with the not knowing who's quarterbacking. So I like the Giants to win the game. So obviously, I'm going to take the points.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to take the Giants also. I think their defense is playing out of their mind. And like you said, Kyler Murray just doesn't look right now. They've lost a bunch of games in a row. And like you said, their season looks like it's reeling. While the Giants are the complete opposite. They are coming into their own. They are very much in the mix for the division right there with Washington. And I think this is a game when you look at the Giants' schedule, it looks like it's a winnable one. If they want to keep pace in the division, they're going to need this one. So I like the Giants. I think I'm going to take them as well, plus 2.5 there. And I was surprised with the line as well.
It's so weird because the Giants are 5-7, and things are so positive about them. The Cardinals are 6-6, and things are so negative. It just shows how crazy the NFL is.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to the other New York local. The Jets are going on the road to Seattle. Seattle's favored by 13.5. Big number, but who do you like?
Yeah, huge number here. I'm taking Seattle. It's easy to, people look into last week's games. Oh, wow, Seattle only scored 12 points against the Giants. The Jets hung on there with the Raiders. Seattle, I think they're going to blow them out. The Rams are playing Thursday night, so whether the Rams win or lose, Seattle knows, needs to keep pace with them at the NFC West. They're tied atop the West, but the Rams have the tiebreaker right now, I think. So I think they'll be motivated, especially after last week. I mean, just probably the worst game of the year. And the Jets defense is not the Giants defense. And I think that Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Chris Carson, the whole entire team just has a field day. I can see like a 38-10 kind of game, a blowout. And I get why people might say, oh, I'm taking the points. The Jets, after last week, I mean, that was their chance to win the game.
Yep.
I don't know what happened there in the final play. So I think now you got to fly all the way out to Seattle, 0-12. The remaining schedule is tough. That was the game. That was the Raiders game and the Patriots game Monday night. Those are your two chances, and it's over now. They're going 0-16. And, Seattle wins by 12, or Seattle wins by 10 or even 13, and you lose by half a point. So be it. I'll take the chance that they win by 14 or more. So Seattle, easy pick.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love Seattle this week as well. And I know we always talk about there not being a home field advantage this year, but I throw that out the window with the Jets' inability to play on the West Coast. And on top of that, Adam Gase is awful on the road, especially as the Jets head coach over the last 2 years. So I don't think this game is very close. I think Russell's going to throw all over this Jets secondary. I don't know who's going to cover DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. I expect this one to be at least a 20-point differential, something like that, maybe 30-10, somewhere in that ballpark. But I love Seattle this week as well, so I'm there with you.
Great.
We have 2 games of the week. We're going to do the Sunday night and Monday night games. So the Steelers versus the Bills. The Bills are favored by 2.5. Who do you like in this game?
Yeah, game is in Buffalo. It's funny how the Steelers, they were 11-0, and now they have a chance to lose 2 games in they played on Tuesday, right? No, they played on Monday. So 2 games in 6 days after not losing 1 game for the first 3 months or whatever. So I like the Bills in this game. Not because the Steelers lost, it's just I never thought that the Steelers were as great as their record. I mean, a very, very good team, solid defense. Lead the league in sacks, and offense has a lot of weapons. But they were winning a lot of close games. They held out against Baltimore. I think Tennessee. Even the first game against the Giants was close. So they weren't like a dominant like the Patriots were when they were 18-0. Or to me, they never even if they went 16-0, I was never going to pick them against Kansas City. I don't think they're this dominant team. So
right.
The Bills, I mean, if after the Steelers had that loss against Washington, the Bills went out and I don't know if they dominated San Francisco. I didn't watch the whole game, but Josh Allen had 4 touchdown passes, and the Bills to me are like one of the most complete teams because Allen has come into his own, and Sean McDermott is one of the best defensive coaches in the league, the head coach, but he's got a defensive background. So I like Buffalo to win this game, a close game. I don't know, maybe like 27-23 or something like that. But I think that the Bills, they're 9-3, so it's funny they can go. They'll be 10-3, and then Steelers lose. They'll be 11-2. I think the Chiefs will probably get the 1 seed if they win out, but I don't think the Steelers are guaranteed to bounce back here. I mean, maybe the Washington exposed them a little bit, and tons of drop passes the last couple of weeks. So I don't think they're a dominant team, and I think Buffalo's playing well right now. So I'll lay the points.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Steelers. I do think that they bounce back, and they haven't played great the last 2 weeks. That's obvious, but I think this team, I've underestimated. So it's weird. I thought they would have a good year, and then it seemed like every single week I was picking against them. But I'm going to roll with them this week and take them plus 2.5. I know it's a road game, but I think that they're due for a bounce back. I know you hate the word that they're due, but I'm gonna use it. The Steelers are due for a bounce back. And listen, I got to give credit to Josh Allen and the Bills. They've had a phenomenal year. Allen's proved me wrong in a lot of ways this year. I think he's been great. But I think it's the Steelers' time, and I don't know if the Bills are quite ready yet to be that prime time team taking on a tough opponent like the Steelers. So I'm going to roll with my Steelers for now.
So make sure I have this right. The team that was 11-0 and won a bunch of close games is due. They've been due the whole year. They've been getting lucky breaks all year.
I know.
All right, joke.
Let's get to the Ravens and the Browns on Monday night. This should be a good matchup also. Ravens are favored by just a point here. Who do you like?
Yeah, speaking of franchises that are due, the Cleveland Browns have been due for, 100 years. So
just about.
Yeah, I like the Browns in this game, believe it or not. I don't know, similar to the Cardinals, the Ravens, I don't know. I don't think that I'm not putting too much stock into last night's, the Tuesday night win against the Cowboys. Cowboys looked like they gave up in the second half. So something's not right with the Ravens. They're not the team that usually crushes the Browns. They beat them earlier this year. I think week 1 it was 38-6, and the Browns have won 9 of 11 since. So they're a lot of those wins were close, but that's a good sign of a good team. If Hugh Jackson or whoever else was the coach before Stefanski, they probably would have lost most of those games. So the fact that they're winning close games, that's a good sign. And this past week they went into Tennessee and it was 38-7 at the half. I know Tennessee made it interesting late, but that happens a lot in those kind of games. So I think the Browns are just playing great right now. I think they'll be super motivated for this game, as will the Ravens, because they need more. 7-5, Browns are 9-3. I think the Browns have like a 97% chance to make the playoffs, which is amazing. But I think it'll be a close game. Come down to the fourth quarter. I'm going to go with the Browns. I think the offensive line is playing great. The running game, defense is playing inspired, and I just don't trust the Ravens if they get behind. That's the Achilles heel for Lamar Jackson. If they fall behind, 10-0, or if the Browns have like a half. 50% of the half they had against Tennessee ended up like 17-3. The Ravens aren't used to that. So, that happens against the Chiefs. That happened against the Titans last year. So if the Browns get an early lead, I think they can hold on. So I think it'll be a close game, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens won, but I like what Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield and Browns are doing, so I'm going to lay I'll take the point. I think they win the game outright. Close game, like a 27-24 kind of game.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Ravens this week, Ravens -1. And you said it, who would have thought that the Browns would have a better record at this point in the year than the Ravens? I think the Ravens, they're a desperate team right now. They're on the outside looking in. And if they're going to want to make the playoffs here, they have to make up some ground. So I think the desperation factor starts to settle in. I know it was a long, long time ago. They looked really good against them in week 1. Again, that's a long time ago, but I'm not ready to trust the Browns just yet. I don't know, that might be a flaw on my part, but I'm not ready to buy in. I think they're too inconsistent for me yet, and with the desperation that the Ravens have needing this win to keep their playoff hopes alive, I think they win a close one. I'm going to say 27-24.
Same score. Okay.
Let's go to our best bet this week. Who's someone you love?
Yeah, there's one team one game that popped out to me when I looked at the schedule. Tampa Bay minus 6.5 at home against Minnesota. Tampa Bay is off a bye. Tom Brady is 13-4 after a bye in his career. I always like taking, great quarterbacks, even though he's not what he used to be, off a loss. But this is off of 2 losses and a bye, so they haven't tasted victory in almost a month. They lost to the Chiefs at home a couple weeks ago, and the week before that, they lost to the Rams on Monday night. So I think it's a good spot for them. It's in Tampa Bay, right? I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Tampa Bay?
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is a great spot for them. There's been some, issues with him and Bruce Arians, supposedly, with the offense. I think this is a get right kind of game. I could see this actually being a blowout. The Vikings, to me, they've won 4 or 5 to get back into the playoff hunt, but they barely lost at home to Jacksonville. I knew I should have taken Jacksonville last week with the points. The Vikings, I don't know. Mike Zimmer to me is a really good coach, but for some reason they always struggle against bad teams. They remember a couple of years ago they lost to the Bills.
That's
when
right.
Josh Allen was a rookie. They were like 15-point favorites, and last year they almost lost to the Broncos as big favorites. So I just don't think they can hang with the Bucs off a bye. I think this is similar to like the way the Bucs beat the Panthers early in the year. Like, I could see this being like a 45-27 kind of game, something big like that. I love the Bucs this week, so lay the 6.5 easy.
Okay, I like that pick a lot. I'm going to go with the Texans over the Bears in a pick 'em. I just look at that matchup, and the Bears are completely falling apart. And I know the Texans have their flaws, but I think when you have a player like Deshaun Watson, you got a chance every week, especially against a team like the Bears, who they are just inept right now offensively. And, Matt Nagy's just to sit and duck for the next 4 weeks. So I like the Texans this week. I think they go on the road and win this one, and it's just a pick 'em, so I'll take it.
Yeah, it seems like an easy pick. I agree. I don't like the Bears at all, but you never know with these teams. But yeah, to me, Deshaun Watson's the reason why I'm taking them too.
Absolutely. How about an upset pick?
Yeah, there's a few of them this week that I like as far as big spreads. Like I like I don't love these games, but Jaguars and Lions both get 9 points. But I'm not crazy about those teams. There's one I had it between 2 teams, either the Dolphins plus 7.5 at home against Kansas City. I think the spread's too high. And then I'll go with the other one because I think this team has a better chance of winning the game. So Washington plus 3.5. Right? Is that right? At San Francisco, Washington plus 3.5.
Let me
double check it.
Yes, it is. Yep, 3.5.
Yeah, so Washington plus 3.5. You got the all-important half point there. So even if they lose by 3, you get the cover. Alex Smith going up against his old team. Washington with the win of the year on Monday night. It's funny. Cleveland had the win of the year, in my opinion. Then the Giants had it a couple hours later, and the next day, Washington had it. So. Assuming that let's assume the Giants are going to win that game. I mean, even if they lose, it's even more motivation. So Washington will either want to win to keep pace with the Giants or win to overtake them. And San Francisco, they're my preseason Super Bowl pick. To me, it's not even about a hangover. They lost like half the team in the first month, and then too many injuries, and now they're not even playing in the home stadium. So last week was their this past game against the Bills. That was their season. They needed to win that game. I don't think they could even make the playoffs now. I mean, of course they can. The possibility, I guess, 9-7, but they have to win out and probably get help. So to me, you just think about the mindset of the team. Okay, so they're not playing at home. They're playing the home games in a different state. They just basically had their season end at home against the Bills, and now they have to go play a Washington team. I just don't see the motivation level there. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's a great coach, but these guys have had a long season, tons of injuries, throwing this whole thing with the pandemic and how they can't even play in their own building. So I don't know if that's going to mess up their schedule and stuff. I like the Washington to win this game outright. So getting 3.5 is extra. So Washington plus 3.5 underdog pick.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Jaguars plus 9 against the Titans. I don't think they win this game, but they've been playing close games. I know they just went to overtime last week against Minnesota, and I feel like a divisional matchup, that number's too big. I think this is going to be a 1-score game. I think the Titans maybe win by like 6 points or something like that, but I don't know. Mike Glennon's been keeping these games rather close and entertaining. And, obviously as a Jets fan, I'm rooting for him to get one more. So maybe that's playing a factor too. But I think this is a much closer game than what some people are thinking.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think it'll be a close game.
Absolutely. So just to run through these real quick, both Joe and I are on the Giants plus 2.5 against the Cardinals. We both also like the Seahawks minus 13.5 over the Jets. For our first game of the week, the Steelers and the Bills, I'm taking the Steelers plus 2.5. Joe is taking the Bills minus 2.5. Ravens and Browns, I'm on the Ravens minus 1. Joe likes the Browns plus 1. My best bet, Texans over Bears and a pick 'em. Joe is going with Tampa Bay minus 6.5 over the Minnesota Vikings. I am going with the Jaguars +9 as my upset, and Joe is going with Washington +3.5. Joe, thank you so much for coming on with me. It's been a lot of fun. We'll talk again real soon.
All right, Matt. Thank you.